This is the Victoria Show. Welcome everyone to the Victoria Show. Let's make welcome our Executive Director.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you, everybody.
All right, so our first panelist in the person of Onyinye Linda Dioka. Please let's make welcome our panelist, Onyinye Linda Dioka. Our next panelist is no other person but Miss Kwado Angela Daudu. Please let's make welcome Miss Kwado Angela Daudu. Real quick, we'll be going into the business of the day. Miss Angela Kwado, beyond sanitary pad distributions, what does a truly dignity-centered menstrual health response look like for girls within schools and communities? And how do we ensure that our interventions build confidence, inclusion, and long-term well-being rather than simply addressing immediate physical needs? Over to you, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. J. Wonderful moderator for today. And before I continue, I want to first of all appreciate the visionary leadership of our host and the executive director, Chief Mrs. Jennifer Mbafan Ali, who is committed to ending violence against women and girls and in our continuous creation of safe spaces for difficult but necessary conversations like this. Also to the team and the initiative behind the Red Without Shame initiative. I say it good and job well done to you all. It's my honor to be on this call this evening with us discussing this very important question. And good evening, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam, for this wonderful and very important question. And you see, the question before us is very important because it challenges us to think beyond sanitary pad distribution as a one-off activity, right? And so while pads are necessary, menstrual dignity is much bigger than menstrual product as well. And for us to know that a dignity-centered menstrual health response is one that ensures that no girl loses her confidence, education, her safety, her health, or future because of a natural biological process that she was born into. And without that process, there will be no multiplication of human beings on the earth. And the reality is that many interventions stop at distribution of parts, and we celebrate photographs, we count the beneficiaries, we move on with yet unanswered questions whether the girl who have given that sanitary pad is returning back to a well-structured environment, or she's returning back to school where there is no access to water for her to change if she's stained. There is no privacy for her to even change or have access to a place where she can be safely positioned to change into a new sanitary pad. There is no information. She's left without emotional support. That does not represent menstrual dignity, right? What you say a true dignity stands for is one that responds mostly in addressing 5 interconnected dimensions to include knowledge, infrastructure, inclusion, protection, empowerment. And so when we talk of knowledge, we refer to the access to accurate, age-appropriate information a girl has before they experience their first menstrual hygiene or menstrual cycle, Most importantly, menstrual health education should not be reserved for girls alone, but boys, parents, teachers, caregivers, faith leaders, communities, all must also be engaged to challenge harmful myths, stigma, and silence surrounding menstruation. And so when girls understand menstruation, they stop seeing it as a source of shame and begin to see it as a normal and healthy part of their life, that without that process, there will be no multiplication, there will be no childbirth or reproductive process on this planet Earth. So this happens because knowledge builds confidence. And infrastructurally, a girl may receive free pads today, but what happens tomorrow if her school has no water? What happens if there's no private toilet? What happens if there's nowhere to change safely? There are these questions that we need to answer, right? So menstrual dignity requires clean water, private sanitation, facilities, hand washing, stations, safe disposal systems, and emergency menstrual supplies while they are within the school premise and emergency comes up. And so no girl should have to choose between managing her period and attending schools. There's no two ways about it. So inclusively, a dignity-centered response recognizes that all girls, like all girls, experience menstruation in the same different way. So a girl with disability will face different barriers when when she's experiencing menstruation. So also a girl in the rural community is facing different challenges, and that of the IDP communities too. They face different and greater vulnerabilities. So therefore, our interventions must be intentionally, and we must ask specific questions that addresses who we are not reaching, whose voice is missing in explaining the issues that comes with menstrual hygiene, who remains invisible in that far to reach community, because menstrual dignity must belong to every girl, not just some girls, right? So earlier on, you introduced me as the communications officer, and I want to say at this point that uh, I am the safeguarding and gender officer of the organization. And by profession, I strongly believe this is where many conversations need to go deeper. Why? Because period poverty is not only a health issue, but a protection issue. And when girls lack menstrual products, information, and support systems, some become vulnerable to school absenteeism, bullying, stigma, exploitation, transactional sex, emotional distress, and other forms of gender-based violence, which is what the Victoria Show is fighting about. And so menstrual health programming should include safeguarding mechanisms, one, safe spaces, psychosocial support, referral pathways, and community protection systems, because a girl who is safe is more likely to thrive. And ultimately, the ultimate goal that we have is not simply to help girls manage menstruation, but to help girls lead. And so we must move from asking how many parts that we distributed as a one-off activity to asking the right questions as how many girls gained confidence, how many remained in school while they started their menstruation, how many became advocates by converts for themselves and others, because it's not measured by product distribution alone. It goes beyond that, and so success is measured by lives that we have transformed. However, as we discuss menstrual dignity today, I want us to remember one thing, that the true beneficiaries of these conversations may not even be the people currently listening to us on this broadcast, right? Because the girl who needs this information most may be one ene in a remote village in Utonkon who does not have access to a phone. She may be those in a hard-to-reach community in Seagbaragba, or even in a distant community in Oju. She may be from Taraba State in a remote settlement where there are no access to lights or even mobile phones, or Enemuna in Adogi community where poor road access continues to limit opportunities and access to self. So being equality in resource and information sharing, these girls are not privileged to own smartphones, not to even talk of them having access to join us on these kind of conversations, because most of the implementations or interventions that comes, they end up in cities. And what happens to these hard to earn or hard to reach communities where there is no access? What happens when the road ends? What happens to those communities after the road ends? So it is also possible that they may never have access to social media to have even seen our flyer to be on these conversations with us, right? So yet, this is why a dignity-centered menstrual health response cannot be measured by the number of events that we have in a city or the number of photographs we have after each activity taken after part distribution. So it must be measured by whether the information, this particular information we are sharing now, the services that we are going to be rendering after the distribution, the protection and opportunities reaches the last girl in that last community. Because the greatest injustice is not only period poverty, but injustice is invisibility. And so I want to challenge us all. Today, we are commemorating World Menstrual Hygiene Day. But what happens tomorrow? What happens next week? What happens in 6 months from now when another adolescent girl experiences her first period? What happens when the ban has come down What happens when the cameras go off after this meeting? What happens with the hashtag stop trending? So what happens when the project closes and the funding cycles ends? And so menstrual dignity cannot be a one-day conversation. It cannot be an annual commemoration alone, and it must be a 360-day, 365 activity. Like every day comes with education, awareness, sensitization, structural strengthening, and all of that. And it's a commitment by government, a commitment by schools, a commitment by development partners, by you and me, civil society, communities, and by everyone. Because if our interventions stop where the road ends, then they were never truly inclusive. And so it still remains the instructions that says we should leave no one behind. And so our program shouldn't remain in urban centered alone. Then we are missing the very girls who needs the most of these informations we are
Okay.
passing. So if
Thank you.
informations and resources do not reach the hardest to reach communities, then dignity
All
remains a
right.
privilege instead of a right. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, ma. A lot of hand of applause for you. Thank you so very much, ma. I really appreciate you. Appreciate your points. Speaking about sustainability and reaching out to the grassroots, your points are really valued. Thank you so much, ma. To my ED, I don't know if you have any comments, any
Yes,
input.
yes. I want to really appreciate the wonderful speaker, Miss Angela Kwado, for the sustainability angle you took to approach poverty in menstruation. Uh, by God's special grace, we just launched a new idea around this, and I'm so happy that you mentioned it. So we at Juasi, we have a project we call the Community Impact and Leadership Development Program. And that program, we try to identify high potential young Nigerian women and youth who have good ideas, brilliant ideas, and then we mold them, we mentor them to the point where they execute that project. So for the second cohort, we made a call for community impact leaders who would want to carry out menstrual hygiene, not just the education, pad distribution, but a continuous program for one whole year. So we can measure just the way Ms. Kwado said. So we are able to measure how many girls were dropping out of school, how many girls were missing school. Are they missing school again after our intervention? So by God's special grace, we have 12 community impact leaders. I think some of them are even on this call. And two of the community impact leaders have already been mentored to carry out their project. Just yesterday in Benue State, one of the community impact leader went to a school of girls with disability, and he was able to reach out to 312 girls with disability through menstrual hygiene education, pad distribution, in collaboration with Juwasi. I think I'm talking about the UMSON initiative. And then we have 11 others who would carry out their projects. And so the sustainability aspect you talked about is so important. So we cannot just continue to, on the 28th of every May, every year, we just go to schools, give girls one piece of pad, and then we leave. And then the next month, they are stranded and go back to old school. And Juasi also, in collaboration with Media Health and Rights Initiative and the Nigerian League of Women Voters, have launched a brilliant sustainability project called the Pad Bank Initiative. And this Pad Bank Initiative is one that has just come with the right solution, just like Ms. Kwado asked. When you've given one pad for 1 month to a girl and then the next month comes and the period starts in school, what does she do? Now, with this Pad Bank initiative, which we have launched in 2 schools in the FCT, and we hope that by God's special grace, we will spread it around across these 12 communities with the 12 impact leaders that we have, so that every school, every community where we have reached this year, we will establish a pad bank, and by doing so, no girl will have at least no access to decent menstrual materials. because it's not. I saw a video of some people donating sanitary pads to some girls, and then the comment section was flooding with disgust and pain, and my heart really bled. If you cannot use it, do not donate it, please. Yes, these rural girls, these poor and vulnerable people have the need for these products. But if you are looking at this pad, you pick it up and you cannot use it, do not donate it. Please. Well, we have, by God's special grace, collaboration with some organizations that have given our partner, Pad Up Africa, good discount on menstrual products, especially menstrual pads. So if you need access to menstrual pads, it doesn't take too much. 9,400 naira would pad one girl for a whole year. This is a campaign that we have run from the beginning of this month. So if you have not padded one girl this month, then I don't know what you are waiting for. Thank you very much for having my comment to that. That is all I have to add to that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so very much, ma'am. Thank you so much, everybody. Mrs. Oninye Dioke. So over to you, ma'am. At what point does society's silence around menstrual health stop being an oversight and become a policy failure? And what practical institutional changes are needed to ensure menstrual health is treated as a core education and public health priority rather than an afterthought? The mic is yours, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, everyone, once again. So I'm sorry I had a very terrible network, so I keep coming on and off. So coming to the question, that situation has been going on for a very long period of time. It has been overlooked for a very long period of time. That line has already been crossed, and I feel it's more like it's been forgotten. It's not that the policy could not be made. They just choose to forget about it. They choose to see it as not a necessity, because there are lots of policies, there's lots of organizations that are meant to promote those policies, but they choose to ignore and avoid it. I mean, I could use my reference, like growing up in the North. I grew up in the North. So I watch how girls feel so shy to even say they're on their period. Some, even because they don't want to say it out, they use pieces, they use clothes, they use tissue. They feel embarrassed. And then those that are supposed to encourage them, like the guys, the boys, the men, they make it even worse. They can't even say it out. They look at them with disgust as if it's a crime to be seeing your period. And why these things have been happening is because there's not been any policy regarding it. Not that it couldn't be enacted. It can be enacted, but they choose not to. Choose to ignore it and then allow girls to wallow in shame, in embarrassment. At the same time, just as the second panelist said, they lose that interest in even attending public gatherings, schools, and before you know it, they keep missing out and it keeps counting just as it goes. So now talking about how these policies could be enacted and why the methods we could use, there are lots of methods. I mean, we have the education board. If this policy can be enacted in schools, it's more like a curriculum. Okay, we need to teach the students. I feel it's not just a girl thing. Both gender are supposed to know about it. Both are supposed to know about it, to know how to handle it, so that when a lady comes, when that's period, like when that situation comes, there's no embarrassment there. Rather, there should be encouragement. There should be love. It's like a journey. It's like a journey for a girl child. It's like a whole new experience, most especially for those that it's their first time. So there's a way we go about it, and then they feel loved. It's more like more like an experience. So when the first impression they get once they start their period is embarrassment, shame, and lack of empathy, it makes others even look back. It makes others look back. So if this could be added into the educational curriculum, this policy can be enacted in schools, even seen as a course in which at the end of the day, exams get written to know the extent of their knowledge, to know how far they've come. It's a very good way to do that. Also, it can also be encouraged in all this in the National Health Act. National Health Act. It's also a very good way of letting people know that that girls need to be healthy. There are lots of hygiene to keep because most girls don't even know anything about hygiene. Nobody tells them. Some families, some parents even are illiterate. When you go to some parts of Nigeria, they don't even know all those things. During their time, maybe they use clothes. We are modernized, we're in the 21st century. That's not supposed to be the case. In this 21st century, everybody, every parent is supposed to know. Schools are supposed to be aware. Policies are supposed to be made to protect girls. Now, if all these are put into place, it's no longer going to be a story. It's no longer going to be a choice. It's going to be a necessity. So I feel starting with school, they can put it in place. Then secondly, initiatives, if there are initiatives that promote that education, just like the founder of Jurassic just mentioned, you mentioned something about initiatives. Those initiatives are also very good way of sending awareness, letting them know that we care, letting them know that, yes, there are people there that understand what is going on and follow up. So it's not just about enacting laws. It's not just about bringing up initiative. Follow up are very, very important. When you do something, you don't follow up, it goes like that. Because I've done lots of projects, like in some of the IDP camps here in Abuja. I remember one of the camps, I think in Karumajiji, when we visited there, when we shared that, there's a time we shared part. And what they told us was, if this one finished, what's next? They said it in Asanya. So it was more like, so we are just here to offer a temporary solution. It wasn't a permanent solution. We are just trying to tell them, okay, use this for now. Tomorrow, find your way. And that's not how it's supposed to be. There's supposed to be consistency. I think it was one of the reasons that made us bring up reusable pads, because we are also into waste and recycling. We had to think of ways to make it easier, but still is a temporary solution. So these ones with these initiatives are ways to sensitize them. There are ways to also encourage them, which is very important. And then if it can be made as a law too in Nigeria, a law.
Yeah,
there are laws that
yes.
guard women. Are you saying something? Sorry.
Yes. So you have exactly 30 more seconds to round up. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So I've just mentioned the major thing: institutions, schools, initiatives, and then the National Health Insurance Scheme. If all this can enact policies, they will help to ensure that this is put into place. And then finally, I don't think silence is the solution to this problem. Silence is not going to take us anywhere. Lots of people are wallowing in shame. Lots of girls are wallowing in shame. Lots of people are living in ignorance, of which we need to bring it out. They need to know how important it is for a girl child.
Thank you so very much, my sincere and genuine apologies for your network failure. And thank you so very much. Our viewers, please, you can also keep sending down your mail, send down your email addresses on the chat box. Thank you so much, everybody. My ED, I don't know if you have anything to say. After
I just have a question for Ms. Onyinye. I wanted to ask Ms. Onyinye, you talked about, are you there, ma'am?
Hello, Mrs. Onyinye.
Okay, I think her network is bad, and it's okay. I just really wanted to appreciate her for her comments. But my question to her was two questions, actually. The first one was, she talked about the initiative of the reusable pads. I wanted to find out, does she use these reusable pads herself? And then second question I wanted to ask to her was, how effective has it been? Are the people that she's giving these reusable pads finding it nice and easy? Are they coming down with infections? I mean, vagina infections and bruising in the vagina? Or what level, what category of reusable pad materials are they using? Well, if she comes back online, I hope that she'll be able to recap and answer that question. So now we have opened the floor for our audience. Kindly send in your messages in the chat, your comments. If you have anything to say, just raise your hand, just unmute your mic, and then tell us exactly what you think about the discussion we're having tonight, because this discussion is not just about asking panelists questions and answering. These questions are actually this tonight's discussion is actually supposed to be for everybody, where we are making input what we know, because it's about education. I'm sure there is one or two men on this call that still see menstruation as a taboo, as a cultural uncleanliness, as something dirty. But all those are wrong. Menstruation is a natural biological process of the body, and there's nothing we can do about it. And menstruation is actually a beautiful thing. When women do not menstruate, they go to the hospital to find out why. Because if you are not menstruating, then that means your body's metabolic process is not normal and there is something wrong. So if you have anything to say, please unmute your mic and make your contribution. I just saw a question in the chat box, and somebody said, what policies are needed to be instituted at all academic level and organized programs as mandate? Well, this question was already answered by Miss Onyin. Thank you so much for your contribution. Miss Vero first, thank you very much. Let's hear from you. Thank you very much. If you are speaking,
Okay,
please turn
thank
on
you
your
very much.
camera so we can see your face. It's yes, thank you. I know Nigeria is
Sorry,
happening to
Nigeria
many
is
of us,
happening
but
to me. Okay, thank you so much, the speakers. Miss Quado, you actually made a lot of sense. And I think another way we could reach all those people in the village for them to know what menstrual hygiene is and be proud of themselves is we that are here. If you have opportunity to meet all these women, I think we should talk to all those ladies. I think we should talk to them, make them understand their worth, make them know that they are valid and that they shouldn't be ashamed as well. I know that it's not going to be so easy reaching out to them, but the little opportunity we have to reach them, we can, because everybody has a village. You go to the village, you can use the opportunity to talk to them too. So I think that's another way of helping out. And I'm appreciating Joasi so much for the pad bank, so that lady girls will not lack pad in the communities and all. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
thank you very, very much, ma'am, for your recommendation. And please send that to our email and send a letter with your letterhead so we can. I'm just joking. Miss Margaret, your hand is up. Thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am. You have 1 minute, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, Edie, ma'am. Thank you for so I thank you our panelists and everyone who have made their contributions. It's these conversations, like Squado said, it's not supposed to stop here. It has to continue every day. And what I will advise some of us is we have churches where we worship, we have mosques where we worship, and some of us are traditional worshippers. At least there's a gathering, we are in one gathering or another. And so anytime we are there, we should find a way to reach out to the people, maybe the heads
Good
of
evening,
those
sir.
gatherings, to be able to
Good evening, sir.
talk to them.
Good evening.
So we should be able to meet these heads of this, to talk to them, to let them know that you have something like this to say to women and girls in the church or mosque or any gathering that we find ourselves, so that, because many of them might not know this, so that even the leaders or people in that gathering, we know that this is the natural thing, that you don't have to body shame anybody, you don't have to make any girl or woman feel bad because they stand themselves unknowingly. Because at times you'll be expecting it today, it might not come. It will not even come tomorrow, maybe 2 days after. You say, they come again. Or at times it will come 3 days, it will finish. You don't know. And on the fourth or fifth day, you might see it when you are not even prepared, and the person can be stained. So we really need to talk about this. And let's not just be in schools to put these pad banks, but we can actually put them in communities as well. In communities, when we meet community and leaders, we can actually put some there, or talk to them and see the way they too can actually help in assisting us or passing this message across and helping many young girls and women around their communities. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so very much. Pro Existence, you have 1 minute.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Mrs. Owana Peter Ibian from Pro Excellent Global Initiative. So I just want to add to what my sister just said, because our focus should not just be in schools alone, but even in working places we can also create an awareness, not just when it's celebrating the global day, like what the initiative is doing. We should be able to create, even it's going to be monthly, quarterly, or twice in a year. We'll make a rally in communities, most especially in grassroots, because I think it's the grassroots people that really need this. We have opportunity to meet people on the interior villages. There are some that doesn't even know what part is sanitary pad. They don't even know what it is. We have to, if we really want to touch more lives, we need to take it to the grassroots. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the great work you're doing, ma'am. We love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much, Mrs. Iwana. And we really appreciate you sincerely. We thank you very much for your comment. Honestly, this is a community work. And what we mean by community work is everybody should be involved. Let's normalize conversations about menstruation. If we are not going to menstruate, we are men. You're going to have daughters that will menstruate. Your mother is menstruating and your sisters. So let's normalize these conversations about menstrual hygiene. Let's try to be there for someone else. Let's not just make it like, oh, every 28th day of May in a year, we'll come and do, and then we'll go quiet again. And that is why we have established the Pad Bank initiative. Every month, we are going to be donating pads to schools. We went to a school, they have 262 girls. So every month we are sending 262 pads to that school until 1 year. The other school has 60. Mr. Sam, how many children are in Giri? JSS girls, how many girls? I think there are 60 something. Every month we are donating 63 pads to Giri for the next 1 year. So this is a call for your support. Miss Onyinye, you are back. Somebody asked a question. How hygienic is the reusable pad? Mr. Atumbaga already answered. Joasi carried out a research on 15 young girls and 15 older women, pardon me. Hey, our audience, please, I'm sorry, you're not old, older. And we discovered that all of them had a lot of infections, from yeast to bacterial infections. So we do not support reusable pads at the Julie Brahma Women and Children Initiative. Our communities that we reach are always very far off. And how do you then expect them to be able to use the reusable sanitary pads when the reusable sanitary pads are supposed to be washed under running water? Not all materials can be used. Some materials cause bruising. The high quality reusable pad materials are so expensive, it will be impossible for you to be able to even donate it to 5 girls. I contacted a company. Okay, can they giving me cost of 30 something thousand, 20 something thousand. The ones of 15 and 17,000 naira, the ones that will cause bruising after 3 months. So reusable pads should not be a thing that we should just venture into, except we have big funds for it. And that funding will include provision of proper washing of these reusable sanitary pads, then the production of the high quality reusable sanitary pads. Otherwise, it's a no-no, at least for us for now. So thank you, everybody, for your contributions. I would now give this time to our speakers to give us a 1 minute roundup of, just summarize everything you wanted to say. Thank you very much. Ms. Kwado, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful contributions, your comments, and the questions. And just like our Director of Operations and Mrs. Iji have said, we have a whole lot to do, and it's everybody's business. You belong to a community, and so you should take this information back to you so that we are not leaving anyone behind. And our interventions should not stop where the road ends, right? Then because there is because of lack of accessibility, some implementing partners end up not getting to those communities, whereas these are the people that actually needs these things the most, the informations, the products, distributions, and all of it. And so a truly period-friendly world is a world where those girls which are not being able to be reached are not ashamed of their body because they have the information, they know what to do part-time, and they are not being mocked because they are stained, and the boys are not going to laugh at them because they are being stained, and rather they will pull their shirts or pull their cardigan and give to them as a sign of love, to like, hello sis, you are stained, can you please use my cardigan, can you please use my shirt and cover this while we go to the house, and then you change, or you go to the closest safe space that is meant specifically. Everybody knows in the community that this place is meant for girls to change when they are stained. So these are the take homes that we should take to our various communities. It's not going to be a big deal. It's cost effective. You belong to communities. You have sit outs where you sit. You can start a conversations and encourage other people to join on these conversations. Because if you are not a parent today, if you are not a lady, you may be a parent tomorrow to a girl child. So what happens to that girl if you are not passing that information rightly to her, or if you help in body shaming someone else? Your child is going to be a victim of what you are body shaming someone else today. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Miss Kwado. Over to Miss Onyinye. Are you here, ma'am?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So over to you. 1 minute to wrap up. What do you have to tell us?
Okay, so first of all, I do appreciate you all for this wonderful initiative. I think this is one of where we've been lacking behind. We've neglected this particular topic for a very long time. And bringing it up, to some it might be traumatic, to some it might be embarrassing, and so, but it's not meant to be that. So I hope we could all lift our head high. Being a woman doesn't necessarily mean you're lacking in any way. It's a blessing to actually go through that. And it's also like a courage. It's part of giving us courage that we could do more. So I hope that it will not just end here. These policies are very important. If this could be enacted, just as I think she said, there are lots of places we can't get through. We all have our limits. Even though we reach out, there are still people that need more of that, more of this awareness. So, but if this laws could come in place, if every school can teach this, if this can be discussed in public places, in churches, in gathering, whatever, I mean, that way it's going to go just way beyond that, and it's going to be a normal thing. Because as it stands now, it's not normal. When you're talking about menstruation, people are as if you're not normal, but it's a normal thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Thank you very much, and you are welcome.
Thank you so much. Earlier, Miss Juliet Uche dropped something on the chat box, and she was like, I want to appreciate the organizers for this program. It's just got to me that I should pick one girl to pad her for a year. Wow, thank you so much. This call is timely and moving forward. I would suggest this campaign should be taken to families, larger communities, education policy makers to emphasize the need to adequately inform the whole society and fine-tune measures to help girl child and women in society manage menstrual experiences. Then finally, from Mr. Jackson Johnson, he said, this is now captured in my mind to include in my organization initiative. Wow, thank you so much, sir.
I will not stop clapping until this meeting ends. So help me God. When we have programs like this and I see comments like that, I know our job is done. I know our job is done. For someone to say this is captured in my mind, going forward, I will pick a girl and pad her for a year. Please make it 5 girls. It's an intentional thing. One girl is about 9,000 naira. 5 girls is 50,000. You must not do it all at once. All these decisions you are making, people are beginning to decide and open their mind and say, I'm going to add this to the initiatives of my organization. That is mind-blowing. That is why we are here, and we are just so grateful for all your comments and for all your mind making. Because one thing that this program, the Victoria Show, is about mindset reengineering. The truth is, it's not like sometimes we don't know these things, but sometimes we know them in a wrong way. So as we close this conversation today, I just want us to sit for a moment with what has been said. Because words spoken in spaces like this carry weight and responsibility. We have talked today about silence, the kind of silence that wraps itself around menstruation and calls itself culture, modesty, or tradition. But we also know that we have named that silence for what it cost. We have called it out. Classroom absenteeism, empty classrooms, confidence quietly eroded or completely broken. Futures quietly redirected away from what they could have actually been. So menstrual health dignity is not a luxury. It is a precondition for learning, for participation, and for our full realization of every girl's potential. When we fail to provide clean toilets in schools, provide water in schools, or include menstrual health in our national health curricula, or allow girls to sit down in lessons in pain and in shame, or go through lessons in fear of standing up and then finding out they are stained. We are not being neutral. This call about menstrual hygiene education and menstrual hygiene support to end menstrual poverty is not the thing of you being neutral, say that one no concern me. It's everybody's business. And we have to make a choice right here and right now. And it's two choices. One will be the correct choice and one will be the wrong choice. But today has reminded us that that correct choice is the best one that we should make. Because from institutional policy reform to how teachers speak to a girl child on their difficult days of their period, and how what changes happen at every level, developmental level, in a girl's body, in a boy's body. And it begins with people who refuse to be silent. We have experienced our first periods. I remember one of Mrs. Ngwemo said her first period came. She was so stranded, she didn't know what to do because she has never heard about menstruation or what to do. So we need to normalize these conversations because you really don't know who you are going to help. To our panelists, Ms. Linda Onyinye Dioke and Ms. Kwado Angela Daudu, thank you. Your insights today were not just informative, they were a call to action wrapped in compassion. At some point, I heard Kwado's voice almost like she was tearing up. I also heard Mrs. Onyinye's desperation when she said they donated pads and the community asked them, after this one, what next? This is what we feel every time we go to communities. It is never enough. To everyone who joined us today and you made your points and contributions, thank you so much. You are now part of this conversation. Share it. Drop your email addresses. We'll send the recording to you. Share it. Go on the page. Make your comments and then share. This is the Victoria Show, and we do not just speak about change. We build change. Thank you so much, and God bless you, everybody, for joining us.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Angela Kwado. Thank you for staying on call for your contribution. Mr. Tumbaga Kato, thank you so much. Avatsi Joy, thank you so very much. Benjamin, thank you. Charity Danjuma, thank you. Our very own executive director, thank you. Miss Ifoma Okeru, we appreciate you. Thank you for your presence, your contribution. Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for your commitment. JT, thank you so very much. Juliet Uche, thank you for your contributions, your input, your suggestion. Gawiza Buba, thank you so much. Margaret Adatso, thank you very much. Pro Excellence Global, thank you very much. And Rekia Abdullahi, we celebrate you. Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. We have our Women and Youth Financial Empowerment Program and it's coming up on the 8th day of every month. We meet to discuss finances, meet to enlighten ourselves and gain more insights concerning finance. And we also meet for the Victoria Show on every last Saturday of every month. Please keep a date with us. Thank you so much and do have a lovely night's rest. Good night, everybody.